Hey guys, how you doing? I thought I'd do another sort of topical video. I quite enjoyed doing a previous two video I've done about carbohydrates and plant-based protein. I thought I'd do another one about plant-based protein as it's a really interesting topic to me. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I enjoy learning about it. I enjoy talking about it. So like in my previous video, I did like a comparison, a slight comparison into plant-based protein versus animal-based protein. What's the difference? Without going into like too much detail. Today I want to go into a bit more detail about the plant-based protein sources, where you can get them from, like the natural sources of protein, and some of the manufactured sources. I can't cover everything because it's a long topic, but I will go into it with as much detail as possible without boring you and without keeping the video too long. So, firstly, I'll talk about natural sources of protein from plants. And when I say natural, I mean with like minimal processing and minimal like human intervention. Obviously, all of our stuff has human intervention because that's how it gets packaged and put into the supermarkets, unless you're solely sort of living off the earth and doing it yourself. Great. But yeah, so when I say natural, I mean minimal interaction or minimal mechanical interaction or chemical interaction. Even things like oats, which are a pretty basic ingredient, a raw ingredient, they still go through a form of processing, mechanical processing, cleaning, dehulling. Steel cut oats go through steaming and flaking. Even the most basic sources go through some sort of intervention. But when I say natural, I mean minimal intervention. So I will go through a few sources, and I'll sort of roughly, because everything varies slightly, go through like the highest protein content per 100 grams. So I like start off with the highest and then work down. So beans are pretty much the highest. There are loads of different types of beans: pinto beans, kidney beans, butter beans, which is one of my favourite, and my all-time favourite is black beans. I absolutely love black beans, and you can get things like black bean tagliatelle as well, which has no soy. It is literally, it goes through a process to turn it into the pasta, but it's literally all black beans, and we get that from Aldi, and it's amazing. It tastes amazing. Anyway, they contain around 7 to 10 grams per 100 grams, and chickpeas are also like within the sort of bean category in terms of protein content, so they're around 9 grams per 100. So most beans contain similar amounts. So you'll find that like butter beans might be 7.5 grams of protein per 100 grams, and then black beans or turtle beans might be 8. So they're all within a couple of points of each other. So they're between 7 to 10 grams of protein per 100 grams, and then you've got chickpeas, which are around 9 grams of protein per 100 grams. Lentils are next on my list. There's a few different types of lentils. You've got green lentils, red lentils, and poi lentils. They all contain around 8 to 9 grams per 100 grams, so they're very similar to the beans. Now, when I've done my research on this, different brands, different types have slight variations. Most people eat like canned beans. I buy all my beans tinned. So I'm getting the figures off these. Most of them would be like canned goods, because like a raw bean, where dried beans, where you have to soak them yourself and then cook them. They might vary. They might be a little bit higher. They might be a little bit lower. But I'm basing like things like the beans and the chickpeas are canned. All right, the lentils are dried. So 100 grams of cooked lentils would be about 8 to 9 grams of protein. Garden peas as well. You know, good old-fashioned garden peas may be surprising to some, but they actually contain around 7 grams of protein per 100 grams cooked. Yeah, so they're pretty good. Nuts, they're often referred to as a protein source, but I consider them a fat source that contains a bit of protein. So I've put this in there just as a mention, just to say that like a lot of people refer to nuts as a protein source. They're predominantly a fat source that contain protein. You know, they're also high in I don't know whether it matters to you, but they're also really high in calories. So 100 grams of nuts, you know, you're looking at a couple of hundred calories, if not more. I should have written this down, but you know, you get like 100 grams of chickpeas or 100 grams of beans. Are much lower in calories. So, you know, that might not matter to some people. They might not be calorie counting or tracking or whatever, but it may matter to some. But I just thought I'd mention that nuts are often referred to as a protein source, but they are predominantly a source of fat. So, as you can see, the best sources are beans, grains, pulses. They're all the highest natural sources of protein if you're looking at plant-based vegan protein. I should also mention rice. Rice is pretty good. I mean, I eat a lot of rice. Rice contains about 4 grams of protein per 100 grams of cooked rice. And I think I based that on just plain white rice. Again, it will vary on the type of rice and, you know, whether it's brown, pilau, long grain, short grain, basmati. It'll all vary very slightly in between the different species of rice. But yeah, rice is about 4 grams of protein per 100 grams of cooked rice. Lastly, on the sort of natural side of things, I think, vegetables, particularly green leafy vegetables, are a pretty good source of protein. They're also very low in calories, so you can eat a lot. Like I eat a lot of veg. Things that probably turn some people's noses up, like sprouts and stuff like that, are amazing. Low calorie. If you're feeling particularly hungry, you can just stack up your plate with veg. You know, you can add quite a considerable amount of protein to a meal just by adding green leafy veg. Kale, broccoli, sprouts are some of the best sources of protein amongst the vegetables. Spinach, broccoli and sprouts come in at the top with between 3 to 3.5 grams of protein per 100 grams of cooked. And again, you know, like 100 grams of cooked broccoli is not a lot, so you could easily eat 200 grams as a side with your meal, and you've got an extra 6 to 7 grams of protein on top of whatever you're eating. If you're eating things like quinoa, I don't think I mentioned quinoa in this actually. Quinoa is one of the highest sources of natural protein. It's also a complete protein, which I mentioned in the last video. I explained the difference between complete and incomplete protein. Quinoa is a complete protein, and it's up there. I think it's higher than beans. I don't know why I got this. I don't know why that didn't come up in my thing. In my notes when I was doing all the research for this, I thought I had it all sussed. But let's have a look. Quinoa. This is why the internet's fantastic. So 100 grams. So it's not. It says it's not that high. So it's saying about 5 grams of protein per 100 grams cooked. I thought it was a bit higher than that. Between 5 and 6 grams. Okay, so 100 grams of cooked quinoa contain between 5 and 6 grams of protein. Okay, so it's up there, but it's not as high as the beans. Sorry, my bad. So what was I talking? I was talking about spinach and broccoli. Came in at 3 to 3.5 grams of protein per 100 grams. Asparagus and potatoes. Now, this is just a plain white potato, cooked. Comes in at between 2 and 2.5 grams of protein per 100 grams. So that's it. I think I've covered a variety of natural sources. So beans, pulses, lentils, things like that are at the top. Green leafy veg is also very good. So I will just talk quickly about the not so natural sources. They still come from natural ingredients, but they take a bit more processing. So things, the top one is tofu. So for vegan or plant-based diets, the top protein source is tofu. Now tofu's a bit debated because, like I said in my last video, some people believe it has like estrogen-like effects. I don't. I think everything in moderation is fine, as with anything. Some people can't tolerate tofu because they can't tolerate soy. I'm okay with tofu. I can tolerate tofu, and I can tolerate raw soybeans, but soy sauce, maybe it's the way they make it, that causes me some like intergestional discomfort, shall we say. But tofu is right at the top for people that can tolerate it, and it is per 100 grams of tofu, there's 8 grams of protein. Ish. Again, depends on the make, etc., etc. So you've got other more manufactured sources. So another really good example would be seitan, which is derived from wheat. I didn't go into the manufacturing process with seitan, but again, it's a really high protein source. Again, it depends if you can tolerate wheat. If you're gluten intolerant, this is where my partner's gluten intolerant, and we find that a lot of the sort of meat-free products or the meat replica products, they're made from soy or wheat. So if you can't tolerate soy too well, like me, or you can't tolerate wheat too well, she can't tolerate wheat at all, it leaves you a bit sort of stuck. So this is where I like to try and get my protein sources from the most natural places I can. So I mean, nowadays there's just a wide range in every supermarket. I mean, being plant-based suddenly became a boom, like, I don't know, maybe a year or two ago, maybe 2 years ago. And I'm grateful for it, because I remember growing up when my dad was vegetarian or pescatarian when I was growing up. The stuff he used to eat was rubbish. I think he had corn products, the orange packet. And back then it just all tasted like crap. Apart from corn roast, which I still love now. But with things like corn, most of them contain milk or egg. So you have to like read the packets carefully, because corn is a vegetarian product. They do a vegan version, but typically it's vegetarian, so a lot of their stuff contains egg and milk. So yeah, just if you're trying to be vegan, plant-based, just be really careful about what you're picking up. Read the packets. Some of my favourite places at the moment are Morrison's, Tesco's, and Aldi. They do pretty good, like, own brand vegan products. There's plenty of like burgers that contain a bit of soy but don't contain any wheat. Which is great for celiacs and people with wheat intolerances. Morrison's are pretty good for all their meat replacement products. And again, a lot of these meat replacement stuff, the fake sausages, meatballs, the meatless balls, things like that, they're all pretty high in protein. Like a lot of these burgers, one burger will contain anything up to 16 grams of protein per burger, which is great. So you can get your protein hit. There's no, I don't even know whether protein deficiency among vegan people and plant-based people is still a thing, because it's just like you can't not get enough protein. It's just silly. Yeah, none of us are protein deficient. It's just a myth. So I rambled a bit, but I hope that's made things a bit clearer for some people that are looking to, like, maybe they want to start. Maybe they're bodybuilding or you're bodybuilding and you want to switch over to a plant-based diet or a vegan diet, and you're a bit concerned because you've heard that you can't get enough protein. It's nonsense. You can. I haven't suffered in the slightest, and there's more and more people and athletes coming out as athletes turning into taking on these plant-based diets and things like that, which is like fantastic to see. So yeah, you can get your protein from most places, and there might have been stuff in here like peas and things like that you didn't even know contain protein. Who knows? But anyway, thank you for listening to me ramble on and watch me. Let me know in the comments if there's any more topical videos that you would like to see. Anything like this, like vegan protein, or if you want to see, you want to know more about fats, carbs, whatever, anything. Any feedback is appreciated. So, thank you very much.